This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, where passionate fans make powerful content. Check out theclashingconferences.com and join the squad today. What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for July 7th, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the podcast. I'm not sure what's going on with the one spot here on my hair. It's just doing whatever. And if you ever watch Friday, it's like a bunch of spiders just having a meeting. Anyway, it is Tuesday. Time for a little motivation/positivity brought to you by the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. Go to clashingconferences.com to see how you can get involved and join today. We're proud members of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network here and in all the podcasts I do, truthfully. So go to theclashingconferences.com to see how you can join the squad today. All right, today we got a little bit of a story. And there was this woman who lived alone. She did the same thing every morning. She'd have a cup of tea, look out her kitchen window, and her neighbor was always hanging out laundry. And every time the lady would just, look at that, dirty, dusty, filthy. Why doesn't she just buy new sheets, new shirts, new underwear, whatever? Everything she has is dirty. Why is she doing this laundry? Does she not know how to do laundry? Like, what is wrong with her? One day, and then she would tell her friends about it and just basically gossip about this lady and her dirty laundry. And one day, a friend came over to have tea with her in the morning, and she was right at it. Look, there she goes again. Look at that filthy laundry. What is wrong with her? She doesn't know how to do laundry, blah, 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 blah. Just going on, judging, making up, and just ripping into this lady. Friend looks out the window, turned back to the friend, grabbed the cloth, wiped the window, and all of a sudden the laundry was spotless. And the friend said, it's not her laundry, it's your window. And I thought that was great, because how many times have we done this? You just look at somebody doing something and you create this whole narrative, this whole story about this person and what they're doing in your head, without even talking to them or knowing their background or just even knowing what they're doing. You just make up this story and that becomes your truth. And it's easy to look at the world and situations and point out people's dirty laundry and judge them. But as this story says, the problem is never the laundry. The problem is never the person. It's our perspective. So it wasn't the neighbor's problem that this lady thought her laundry was dirty. Her window was dirty. So this week, as you go about your weeks, I want you to take that with you. And remember, don't judge, pause, and say, and think about, why are you being like that? Are you tired? Are you cranky? Are you projecting your own insecurities or whatever you have going on? And ask yourself, what can I do to clean my window or clean up my perspective of this situation? So don't judge. Keep your windows clean, and hopefully you can take something with you from that story. I read, I believe it was through Clint Hurdle's, Clint Hurdle. I always get him confused with the Eagles defensive line coach, Clint Hurt. But Clint Hurdle, former Major League manager, I get his newsletter, and this story was in there. But it really got me thinking, because we all do it. And as much as you say you don't, you do. But when you start going down that road and you start judging, take a minute, figure out why you're doing that, and figure out how to clean your window to change your perspective. So take that through with you this week. And that has been Tuesday Motivation/Positivity, brought to you by the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. Go to theclashingconferences.com to see what they have to offer and how you can join the squad today. All right, so not even sure where to start. I guess we can start with the World Cup, and United States is out. 4-1 loss to Belgium. They looked flat from the very beginning. They looked out of sync. quite honestly, they looked exactly how you kind of expected the United States to look in a game like that. And it's a shame because it was a fun tournament. By all accounts, it seemed like we talked about this yesterday. The games in Philly went off relatively smooth. Everybody had a good time. But that's it. I think now the onus is on United States Soccer to figure out how to build that momentum and keep it going. I have some ideas on it. I'll be discussing it. Everything goes well. I'll be discussing that on the Philly Hall with Steve tonight. So look for that to drop either later today or tomorrow. But it's up to U.S. Soccer now to kind of carry this momentum over from the World Cup being here, especially since it was at home. But not a good showing. They just looked out of sync from the beginning from the United States. And now in Philly, it's all getting set up for the All-Star game. And geez, yesterday, Christopher Sanchez may start the All-Star game, but he did not look like an All-Star. Worst game of his career. Phils lose at 15-1. Trey Turner played some atrocious defense that really opened up the door. Would have gotten Christopher Sanchez out of one of those innings where he got into trouble. And then who knows from there. However, you at least got to put some of the blame on Sanchez because he also needs to bear down and get out of those innings. But just terrible. And as we talked about on here before, and going back to Clint Hurdle, they just need to shower well and put this one behind and move on. Can't lose 2 out of 3 to the Royals, but you also can't dwell on this. Forget about it. Shower well, wash it down, start off fresh today in Cincy. You got Zach Wheeler on the mound, who's pissed off about not making the All-Star team. So I look for him to bounce back today in Cincinnati. And then I saw an article, one of the ESPN shows, Darius Slay was on, and they were asking him about Jalen Hurts, the new offensive coordinator, this, that, and the other. And an interesting perspective. And it was good to see him on a national show kind of, I don't want to say sticking up, but basically having Jalen's back. And he was like, look, he loves a challenge. He's up for it. He always seems to do well when he's presented with a challenge. He'll be all right. And really just kind of flipped the whole narrative about Jalen Hurts on his head. I'd like to see more interviews like that. So we'll see, but we're counting down at this point to training camp. We're counting down. Should be soon. Some quick Flyers and Sixers news. Claude Giroux will not be joining the team. He is going to re-sign with Ottawa. Speculation is he didn't want to wait for the conclusion of the Leo Carlson offer sheet. And truthfully, okay. I mean, it would have been nice. It would have been good for the power play. Feel-good story, all that other good stuff. But at the end of the day, I don't think not having Claude Giroux back is going to have a big impact on this team. Sixers made the Jaylen Brown trade official. Pretty cool video. Lots of talk about how Joel and Jaylen haven't said anything about each other publicly. Okay. I mean, is this what we're doing? Like, stop. Why do we always have to, like, pick apart everything? Maybe Joe's on vacation. Maybe he's over in the Cameroon. Who knows? Like, just stop, please. But Summer League gets started on Thursday. Looking forward to seeing LeBaron Philon in action. We'll keep you updated on that as well. Yesterday's trivia question. Mike Schmidt started 7 All-Star games out of the 12 he was elected for: 1979, 81, 82, 83, 84, 86, and 87. He was voted in as a starter in 1980, but was hurt, so missed the All-Star game. And, of course, yesterday, as we talked about, 1989, and he retired and did not play. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms at Philly Jimbo, including YouTube, which you can subscribe, and all of those subscriptions and likes and all of that, specifically the YouTube channel, really helps out the algorithm. So even if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, go over and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And, of course, spread the word as we grow this thing. on the cusp here. We're on the cusp. We're close. So your like on YouTube might be the thing that sets us up over the top. I mentioned there might be, hopefully there will be a new The Philly Hall coming later today or tomorrow. And I'm trying to coordinate the schedule, trying to get one last off-season Brotherly Birds breakdown in before we get ready for training camp. We've kind of been on a nice little summer hiatus here, but a few things we could talk about. So I'll stay tuned for that. And again, the best way to stay in the loop is subscribe to the YouTube channel. Reppin' Philly ain't a choice. It's a way of life. PhillyGoat.com is your one-stop shop for Philly pride. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. Look fresh, stay Philly, Philly Goat. Go Birds. All right, before we get into July 7th, I want to take a moment and say condolences to Al Holland's family and rest in peace, Al. Al was a former Phillies closer, was a closer for that 1983 NL Championship team. Passed away yesterday, so condolences to Al Holland's family and rest in peace, Al. All right, July 7th. First, we're going to go back to 1964. And on this day in 1964, it was the Major League Baseball All-Star Game up in Shea Stadium. Phils were represented by Jim Bunning, Chris Short, and Johnny Callison. Jim Bunning did pretty well, pitched 2 innings, struck out 4. Chris Short, not so much. Gave up 2 earned runs and blew the save, allowing the American League to tie it. The American League then took the lead when former Phillies manager Jim Fregosi hit a sac fly in the top of the 7th. National League started battling back in the 9th, tied the game up, and then Johnny Callison steps up, bottom of the 9th, tie game, 2 outs, hits a 3-run walk-off homer as the National League beats the American League 7-4. Callison was named MVP, just another little check mark on that magical 64 season that ended so poorly. It was the second and to date, and likely will be the last because of the new rules, walk-off homer in Major League Baseball All-Star history. Now, if it's tied after 9 innings, they do the swing-off, which Kyle Schwarber won for the National League last year. But National League beat the American League 7-4 in the All-Star game in 1964. Johnny Callison with the walk-off 3-run homer to win the MVP award. And that does lead us into today's trivia question. There have only been 2 walk-off home runs in an All-Star game, 1964 by Johnny Callison. When and who hit the other walk-off home run in All-Star game history? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. Get anything Philly sports related off your chest. Talk about the future of American soccer, whatever you want to do. Everything is fair game here on a summer Tuesday in July. And then, of course, the Discord channel. The link is in the description for that. But who hit the only other walk-off home run in All-Star game history? All right. Now, we're going to go to 1979. And on this day in 1979, Mike Schmidt hit home runs in his first 3 at-bats, flat out deep to the warning track on his 4th at-bat. Almost hit 4 homers in a game. But if you couple those 3 homers with a homer he hit in his final at-bat the day before, he did hit 4 consecutive home runs, tying the Major League record. Phillies, though, lost that game to the Giants 8-6. Schmidt was on a tear during this stretch, though, would hit 3 home runs in the next 3 games to tie a National League record with 7 homers in 5 games. So Mike almost goes deep for the 4th time. Would have been the 2nd time in his career he hit 4 homers in a game. But he did hit a home run in 4 consecutive at-bats over the course of 2 games on this day in 1979. Fast forward then to 1993. Kevin Stocker made his Major League debut, much anticipated Major League debut. If you remember anything from the 93 Phillies, leading up to this point in the season, shortstop was an issue for them. Juan Bell, anyone? That name ring a bell? No pun intended there. But Kevin Stocker made his much anticipated Major League debut. However, Dodgers scored 2 runs in the top of the 9th off of Mitch Williams, who was then subsequently ejected after blowing the save. But luckily for the Phils, Lenny Dykstra hit the game-winning ground rule double, scoring Jim Eisenreich and Mickey Morandini in the bottom of the 20th inning. You heard that right. Second time in less than a week that the Phils played a game that ended well after midnight. This game ended at 1:47 local time out in LA. It was just a late week for the Phillies. Stocker, to his credit, played all 20 innings, went 0 for 6 with 2 walks and scored a run. John Kruk famously, that's why I'm wearing the Kruk Around to Find Out shirt today. John Kruk famously said, "I wanted to kill Mitch, but they told me that it was against the law." John Kruk is a national treasure. But on this day in 1993, Phillies beat the Dodgers in 20 innings when Lenny Dykstra hit a 2-run walk-off ground rule double out in LA. Game ended at 1:47. I'm sorry, this was at the Vet. My apologies. It was at the Vet. But still, it ended at 1:47. So just a late week for the Phils. And I kind of echo and get where Kruk was coming from with that. All right, fast forward to 2009. 43,623 fans showed up to Citizens Bank Park to see the Phillies lose to the Reds 4-3. Ryan Howard and Jason Worth homered, but the reason I mentioned the attendance, it was the first of 257 consecutive sellouts at Citizens Bank Park, which set the National League record, which is now owned by the San Francisco Giants with 530. And if you're keeping score at home, the Major League record is 820 by the Boston Red Sox. So 43,000 fans, the start. Remember, that was like a big, big deal, that sellout streak. Turn heads and bring the hype with a custom hype chain from Lotwin. Perfect for youth sports, fantasy football, or just flexing your pride. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off your order. That's Lotwin.com, promo code TCCPOD for 10% off. Get your custom hype chain and get hype with Lotwin. All right, and then finally today, our greatest Philly high school hoops figure tournament rolls on. Brought to you by Beach Caddy. Go to beachcaddy.app. If you're going to the Jersey Shore and you're in Sea Isle, Avalon, Stone Harbor, Ocean City, or Wildwood, I feel like I do that order different every day too. But if you're in one of those shore towns, Beach Caddy's got you covered. They'll take the stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. They'll move you in, move you out. Don't have to worry about that stress. And, of course, the best beach carts at the Jersey Shore. Things glide over the sand. So go to beachcaddy.app. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your move-in, move-out service as well as your beach cart rental. All right, yesterday's results from the North Regional. No real surprise. Dawn Staley beats Tyreek Evans with 100% of the vote. Lots of people already starting to clamor as we're getting down here, whittling away to the Sweet 16. A lot of people are saying Dawn Staley just might win this whole thing. So it should be a lot of fun coming up over the next few weeks. Today, though, we go to the Suburban Regional, and I'm sure the Coatesville contingent will be out for this one. It's a 4-5 matchup featuring Richard Rip Hamilton versus Bo Kimball. Winner gets Kobe Bryant. So let's start with Rip Hamilton. Obviously went to Coatesville, graduated as their all-time leading scorer. He was a McDonald's All-American, Parade second-team All-American, consensus top 20 recruit in the country. While at Coatesville, won a couple league titles, but always ran into the buzzsaw that was Kobe Bryant in the district and state playoffs. His number 32 is retired at Coatesville. From there, he went to UConn, where he was two-time All-Big East, two-time Big East Player of the Year, All-American, National Champion, Most Outstanding Player of the National Championship Tournament, or the NCAA Tournament. And if you remember, hit that big clutch shot against Duke to send the Huskies. I believe that was to the final. His number 32 is retired at UConn as well. Had a very, very solid, probably I would say above average, 14-year NBA career where he is also a champion, 3-time All-Star. The Pistons have retired his number 32 as well. Everybody remembers the mask. We have debates about this on the Clashing Conferences Discord channel all the time. Best mask player in NBA history. Gotta go Rip on this one, I think. He's in the Coatesville, the Chester County, Philadelphia Sports, Michigan, College Basketball Halls of Fame. Should probably be in the Naismith Hall of Fame as well. He is taking on Bo Kimball. who went to Dobbins, helped lead Dobbins to their first public league title in 1985. Lost only 5 games, and one of them came in the public league championship versus Pooh Richardson, so no shame in losing that game. He was a national top 10, or led Dobbins to be a national top 10 team in the country. He was the MVP of the public league title game, all state, all public league. Went to USC before transferring to Loyola Marymount, where he was second team All-American, led the country in scoring in 1990, West Coast Conference Player of the Year, 2-time All-West Coast Conference, shot his left-handed shots for his friend Hank Gathers, who passed away. One of the more magical stories in the tournament, led them to the Elite Eight that year. Number 8 pick in the NBA draft, played 3 years in the NBA before going to the CBA and then overseas, and then did make a brief stint as the coach at Overbrook. But now it's your turn. This one is tough. Who moves on to face Kobe Bryant, Rip Hamilton, or Bo Kimball? Get your vote in anywhere you can. Back to the Future Voice and Text line, 267-495-8531. Any of my social media, Discord, however you got to do it, get that vote in. But who moves on, Rip Hamilton or Bo Kimball? 2 of my all-time favorite players. That's tough. On this day in 2009, Phillies sell out Citizens Bank Park for the first of 257 consecutive times, setting a National League record, which has since been broken. Phillies, Dodgers play 20 innings. Kevin Stocker makes his MLB debut. Mitch Williams blows the save, gets thrown out, but Lenny Dykstra with the walk-off ground rule double to win it for the Phils. Mike Schmidt hit home runs in his first 3 at-bats. Combine that with his last at-bat from the previous game. It's a home run in 4 consecutive at-bats for the GOAT. And then, of course, Johnny Callison wins the MVP of the All-Star Game, hitting a walk-off 3-run homer in the bottom of the 9th to give the National League the win. We'll have an update on the Phillies-Reds series. Hopefully, there will be another Philly Haul for you tomorrow. Anything Flyers and Sixers related, we'll update you with as well. Of course, it's What If Wednesday, so always a good time on a Wednesday for that. And then, of course, just remember, make sure your windows are clean before you start judging people. I really do enjoy that story, so hopefully you can take something with you on your weeks with that. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for July 7th, 2026. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Tuesday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.